Hey, welcome to another Yumi 3 Saturday collaboration with my friend Tiffany, Southern Gals Designs. And this month it was my turn to supply the 3 items. And I have a layaway tag, a card from a flinch game, and a little Tennessee biscuit tag. And I don't know what that is, but I found it at an antique store shopping with my friend Kim, so I thought it would be great to include. Anyhow, if you're new to the collaboration, what it is we each take the same 3 items and come up with a mixed media project. This year, we decided to open it up so that others can play along. So if you look down in the description, you'll see a list of more videos of other people using the 3 items, as well as Tiffany's and some Instagram posts of how people use the 3 items. None of us know what each other is creating, so it's kind of fun to see what everyone makes with the same 3 items. So anyhow, what I'm doing, last month I kind of got a little inspiration after making those little folders you saw in the beginning, and I made a little journal. And then this month I went back to my very first 3 items and I made a little ledger pocket. And one of the ladies, Kim, was going to use hers in her video, and it kind of, I remember then thinking, that would be great to have like little journal pockets that you can make and put inside your journal. And it can hold supplies or words or, like found words. So I thought that would be great to have that all on hand in your journal, either for traveling or say if you make journals and send them to people, maybe you want to put the extra bits of ephemera from making the journal inside there so they can use them for pages or just whatever you like. Anyhow, this is a piece of wallpaper from a wallpaper remnant book, and actually it's from my friend Tiffany, so thanks, Tiff. What I did was I put a little bit of paint down just because I wanted it to kind of break things up, and then I'm using alcohol inks. I know this is not how you typically use alcohol inks. You usually use like a glossy paper so that it moves and pools really well, and I know that, but I knew that because it was kind of plasticky vinyl-y, paint wouldn't adhere well. And as you can see there, actually I really love that it did that after heating it. It kind of wiped away and made a little bit of a resist, which was really cool. And I made a few more of these little pockets, and you'll see at the end, I'll show you, but this is the only one that did that. And so I picked the best piece for the video, I guess. Anyhow, I found that stamp set at my local thrift store for $2. It's a Tim Holtz Ranger one, and I really love this. It was kind of a really good find after seeing how cool it looks on the paper or the wallpaper. I just turned it so that you can't really tell. It's all willy-nilly, but I wanted it to be the same way when you were looking at it. So that's why I'm flipping it and turning it. And I didn't want it perfect because I knew it wouldn't come out perfect because I can't get anything straight and even. So that's why I'm just kind of putting it here and there. And I think the effect worked in the end. So I'm just drawing it quick. And then I wanted some splashes, like some more bigger pools of color. So I'm just going to plop some more colors down until I get it where I like it. And that's just a pearl mixative, so it kind of adds a little bit more dimension. And I'm just I have the blending solution that I use too, but I'm using just a lot of regular alcohol. And then I don't think you're supposed to use a brush with this either, but I wanted the colors to mix a little bit. So, hey, no rules. You do what you want, right? That's what I'm doing. So if you're confused at what this is going to be or how you can use it, at the very end, I'll show you how I used it. So you'll get a better idea of exactly what I mean. You could also make these and use them for Happy Mail, just to send little goodies in. So if you're interested in a wallpaper remnant book or some wallpaper, I see rolls of it all the time at thrift stores for cheap. Like the old stuff that nobody would ever put in their house now. But I've also heard that you can go to like Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore and ask them if they sell them. And I've heard sometimes they just give them to people, so because they throw them away if they're like out of stock or whatever. Anyhow, what I'm doing is I cleaned off my desk with some alcohol because I had a lot of overspray, and I'm just trying to pick it up with that flinch card. It didn't really do a whole lot, but I added a little bit more at the end. And then I'm going to take, I love these chalk paints from Walmart. They're Waverly. I think that's what they are, Waverly. but they just work so good. They're super matte. Anyhow, I am painting this other side just where I know it's going to show through, and I'm good with the words kind of peeking through. I just didn't want it to look dirty, because what we're going to do is make a little window, because the other thing that I thought would be neat is seeing like the pictures and the bits of ephemera or words peeking through the journal, because that's like another little piece of art as well. So I just made a little pocket. It is willy-nilly. It is not at all probably straight, and I am super scary, I've been told, using sharp objects. So I didn't show a lot of that, but just make a window, and I used a Stabilo All because I knew it would wipe off the vinyl-y part, and it did. Not so much on the other side, but again, I didn't really care that much about that. I just wanted it to look a little bit cleaner. That is just some recycled packaging from a glass screen protector for my phone, and I just cut that to size, and then I'm using this handy dandy Dollar Tree glue, and it's kind of like a cross between E6000 and rubber cement maybe, but I got a little bit of overage on it, and after it dried it just kind of like gummed up and wiped off, which was good. So this worked really good for $1. And now I'm going to work on these little tags and cards. So I wanted to decorate the back of the card too, or the back of the envelope too, since if you put it in your journal or use it for Happy Mail, you'll see the back of it as well. So I'm going to rip apart these tags so that it's a better size, and then I wanted to grunge those up a little bit too. Well, I wanted to add some ink to them. So again, I put a little bit of the chalk paint on there just to kind of push back all those lines. I still wanted them in there, but I didn't want you to be able to necessarily read them. And I like the numbers, obviously, since I did a little number theme, but so I wiped it off of that. I wanted that to kind of stick out a little bit more. And then I'm going to take the same colors of alcohol inks and, well, first I'm going to spray them with alcohol. And it does work better. I forgot that I did that once before. It does work better if you kind of spray it first for this type of thing, with the paper being so absorbent. Kind of moves a little bit better. And I'm just pushing them together. And this is where I go a little bit too grungy, but it worked out in the end. That's just water, and those are walnut ink crystals that if you've watched any of my other videos, I just love them. They add the perfect, like just the perfect amount of grunge. So like I said, I got a little bit crazy, but it worked because you just flip it over and use the back, and there's just a little bit on the back, so it added better contrast in my opinion. So I'm just going to mess with those for far too long, and y'all, I have to delete out a bunch of it because you would be bored even more so than you probably already are watching me do it. But so I get those where I want them, set them off to the side, and I'm going to sew the pocket all up. So the little side, the left side where there's that little tip there, that's to, and like I said, I'll show you at the end, that's where you can add another piece of paper on the other side to make the piece long enough to fit in your journal. Again, like I said, you'll see at the very end. But I took the top of that tag and I wanted to use it kind of as a flap, you know, like what you would pick up and close. And then when I was making the envelope part of the folder of the journal envelope, I also dipped some fabric into the pooling because I knew I would want to use that because I kind of used those for everything. So I have that off to the side, and I tied a bow at first, but it was too bulky to fit into a book, so I cut it down. I also cut down inside the pocket just a little bit so that it opened up easier to fit papers into. And this is where I'm going to mess with these pieces. I knew I didn't want that all together. I like the 15 on its own, and I love that it says Tennessee Biscuit Company. I live in Tennessee, if you don't know that. So I like that has just a little bit of me on there. So that's what I cut out, and that's what I'm going to use. Actually, I end up using both, but you'll see that at the end. I use the glue stick to kind of adhere everything together before I sew it, which is probably horrible for my machine, but I got my machine for $40 on clearance. Thanks, Tiff, for that heads up. And so it is what it is. At this point, there's no going back. My mother-in-law actually won a really nice machine, and she gave it to me, so I use that one for material. Not that I'm good at sewing, but I thought I should have a designated one and not use the nice one for paper. Anyhow, I am just putting a little bit of the alcohol inks, the purple, just to kind of bring that in there as well, and I thought it needed just a smidge of brightening up. And then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and sew that as well. Yeah, super grungy on the back. And I ripped the edge just because everything was getting really neat. And hindsight, I would definitely switch how I put that on there, because if I put it in a book, see how I'm putting it more vertical, but if I put it in a journal, it's going to be horizontal. But it's okay. I did make it kind of a pocket so I could slide something underneath there if I wanted to, but it wouldn't work if I put it in a journal, so I didn't end up using it. But that's okay. And again, that little Dollar Tree glue works really well. I'm not sure if I would use it for jewelry or anything like that, but for paper and for this, it was fine. And I am really sorry if you have to wear sunglasses because of my nail polish. I know it is super duper bright. The peachy color, I don't know if you can see it. Well, you probably can, but it's actually fluorescent red that I have to kind of tame down with some white. And I didn't realize it was that bright, so sorry if it's distracting. And I am just grunging up that little Tennessee sign or tag or whatever bit. Probably a little bit too much, but it's okay. I still like it in the end. And some more of my Dollar Tree glue. And so this is pretty much done with that whole part. And then I thought I had that little piece from the window of wallpaper, and I had a little piece of material and the little 15-cent piece. And then I just grabbed another chunk of wallpaper remnant. And y'all, those wallpaper remnants, they were kind of homely. But that's okay. I just put a little bit more white paint on there and some alcohol inks, and it worked perfectly. And then I'm going to put the material on there just with a glue stick. And I'm using, I lost a pair of scissors. I have so many. I don't know where I'm losing, but one of my good ones, I can't find them. So I have those little Dollar Tree scissors that barely cut anything. If y'all saw my desk, you would realize why I can't find anything, but shh, we're not going to talk about that. So this is just going to, I had thought about putting this in that little pocket that I made on the back, or that I left open in the back, but I ended up putting it inside with the little bits of ephemera in the pocket. I just sewed around it. Really messy, because I was doing this late at night, and my daughter walked in the room and it scared me, so my stitches went off a little bit. So that's kind of what you can do. Just put little bits in there, and I just wrapped it with a little bit of that material, and then it sits nicely down inside. And there's your little pocket. But we need closures, so I had these little Velcro circles, and they're adhesive, so I just stuck them on that part. And then you put the opposite side right on top of it, and then stick it down so you don't have to worry about placement. Because you already know I would not have that. It would not work at all. So, and that's my pocket. And if you have made it this far, you will see the other ones that I made and how I used them. So I put some pictures in there just so you could see it. And I thought you could fold that one in half, and you'll see in this one, it looks almost like a little wallet, but see, there's little words on one side and pictures on the other. And that's just a journal that I'm in the process of making. Thanks for the inspiration, Amy C. It kind of looks like her journal that she made me. So I was just playing and making a journal, but I thought I would show you how it would work in there. Anyhow, so if you have two pieces of paper that won't work when you're making a journal, you can just use packing tape or masking tape or material or whatever you want and put the two pieces together. You could also use strips of material, more strips of wallpaper, and then you have it. It's like hinged, so it becomes one piece, and then you can bind it into your book. So this is pretty much my project. I am done. Stay tuned at the end for some stills, and thank you so much for watching. And if you attempt to make one and come up with some great ideas, remember to tag me because I would love to see what y'all make. Thanks again. Bye.